We are Team Chemistry. We've been working all day to kind of present this for you. We've been working a while to try to understand exactly what the Mattress Factory's needs are for revamping their brand for their shop and the cafe. And we think that the central theme of what we would like to go for is where culture meets community. So the Mattress Factory, a contemporary art museum, has a lot of different patrons coming in. A lot of people between their 20s and 40s coming in, kind of seeing the rotating exhibits, seeing the ones that are permanent exhibits, and they actually have a shop and a cafe, as most museums do. But the Mattress Factory themselves kind of want to grow and rebrand both the shop and the cafe, and create an awareness of their different offerings, their buy online, their different like local artisans, different local foods, and kind of establish a space that's separate from the museum itself that can kind of be a home away from home for local Northsiders and people coming to the Mattress Factory as a destination.
The target audience for the shop and the cafe are both going to be a little bit different. For the shop, we want the original people that are already going to the museum to continue going there, but then on top of that, we also want an older demographic and to appeal to families. For the cafe, we want to appeal more to the people in the neighborhood as well as those that are already going to the museum as well.
So we're looking into some of the research. We identified 3 different groups. The first one is the younger cohort of like 20s to 30s. They're mostly they're either single homes or people in like just a relationship, 1 or 2 people. They tend to be on Facebook, Instagram, most social medias that are common, and email. A subgroup of that is families, ones that kind of need the super quick, easy to read, easy to understand, can move immediately.
Then another cohort is individuals that are 60 plus. Right now they represent a lot of people that are currently at the cafe, but they also want room to grow into the shop. We want to also appeal to them. A big part of this is that we tend to overlook that the older demographic is on social media, and the biggest platform they're using is Facebook. From what we polled, 72% of the 60 plus people are on Facebook, and 15% of those people spend 11 hours on it per week.
So moving forward, our group's goals and objectives are to raise awareness of the MF Cafe and Shop as an independent entity from the museum itself, and then position the MF Cafe and Shop as a separate destination spot for the Pittsburgh community, in particular the North Side residents who range from young college students to families.
So since we have kind of 2 different ways to approach this with our target demographics, we split it up into the shop and the cafe since they're different. For the shop, we looked at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Just to sum this whole big slide up, the strengths were that they're local products, local jewels, local little boutique items, which is really unique to Pittsburgh, made by local artists. Their weaknesses was a lack of a logo and lack of social media. There's only social media for the cafe as opposed to having one for both the shop and the cafe. An opportunity was that they could make their own social media, product placement within the cafe and the shop, so somehow integrate the 2 together to have it on like tables at the cafe or something like that. And then a threat with the shop is a lot of the other shops in the area. We decided that Northside is a really unique neighborhood of Pittsburgh. It has a lot of different like subcultures, and there's just a lot of different areas that are found there. So there's a lot of different competition just with boutique.
So then similarly with the MF Cafe, some of the strengths were that it's locally resourced, there's free parking, and there's diversity in the menu. Some weaknesses are that the website is not ADA compliant, and there was like a lack of things to do while waiting for food. Some opportunities that we saw, that there is already a Instagram page for the cafe, but it hasn't been posted on since 2018, so we wanted to increase that awareness and engagement, and then look for mobile orders and maybe reservations using other websites, and then some competition with other cafes directly in the area are some threats.
Okay, so this is kind of our big idea, our overarching idea, where culture meets community. If you guys look behind you on the board, it's kind of like our word vomit that we did. It took a long time to do, and with help from the chemistry creative team, we kind of narrowed it down into this one saying, where culture meets community. So we split it up again into shop and cafe, and we talked about how the shop offers different unique treasures and little trinkets, and it's a place where you get sentimental value from it. You go to the mattress factory or the shop to get this one specific item that's local to Pittsburgh, unique to the shop at the mattress factory. So this is kind of our word bubble. This is the words we literally threw around and wrote on the board as everyone was just yelling at us. You feel it's homegrown, there's a lot of community feel to it, there's memories associated with the items that you buy at the store. There's a lot of value in these items since they're from the local artist. It's also a place where you can feel accepted, where you feel you belong. It just has a lot of different values that are unique to the shop at Pittsburgh. So for our strategy for this, we really want to hone in that it's a unique spot, it's a community spot. So we really just want to showcase the different treasures and items that they have and be able to share them with the community in Northside, but even outside of Northside, outside of Pittsburgh, and even nationally or worldly. We also want to showcase how they are connected to the artist, so you're not just buying a random thing that Amazon manufactured, you're actually buying something that someone took time to make. A lot of the artists are from Pittsburgh, so that they took their time and did, and especially if they're in the North Shore, they actually made it in the North Shore, and you have that sense of community there helping out.
And then similarly with the cafe, we have all of our word vomit. So we really wanted to locate like our whole messaging around the collaborative and inspiring food that was offered at this location. We also wanted to really focus on the local community eatery, and that it's a destination spot for the people in the North Side. It's catered by the Black Radish Kitchen, so that's a own unique selling point. And then we wanted it to be a place where friends, family, and strangers can share conversation over delicious food and beverages and take time to really connect with people in this space.
So our contact vehicles, our biggest one is Facebook. This is where most of the budget will be going to. So we're going to have two separate campaigns because there are two different audiences. The one campaign will go towards the individuals between the 20s and 50s that already live in the North Shore. And then the other one will be towards retired people and families that are a few more miles away that will be coming on the weekends opposed to during the weekdays. We'll also have email campaigns, especially through Constant Contact. That way, Mattress Factory can measure their success, seeing how many clicks there are to the links and how many opens there are in the emails. There will also be, we'll be looking at our Yelp account, encouraging reviews, because we've realized that obviously word of mouth is the most successful form of marketing among people, but really encouraging that so people can see that it's a reliable place, or it's an awesome place to go on the weekends or even just for lunch during the week. Google improving keywords, so realizing that if you're a cafe, you should be using cafe words in your keyword search, not just, oh, I'm a museum, so I should just be using museum associated keywords, but branching out. And then using a photographer, not specifically a professional photographer, but someone with photography skills, possibly an intern that understands the basics of photography, to highlight pictures for their menu, because their menu it needs to be revamped a little bit visually, and then those pictures can also go towards their social media, which rounds everything out.
So these are the two logos that we ended up coming up with. The Mattress Factory shop as well as the Mattress Factory Cafe. Obviously they are catered by Black Radish Kitchen, so you really want to hone in on that a little bit too, because they also have some really unique cuisine. So for this, what we chose to do was to keep that iconic Mattress Factory red embedded in these logos, but also they work well together, but they also work well as separate identities, and you have this type a little bit clustered more together, but in an abstract way, it gives you a really good sense of community. And then you have some icon imagery embedded in the M and the F, and that essentially could give you a more pictorial version of what exactly they have in these two locations. And then this is our mock-up Facebook ad. So when we go to run some of these campaigns, this is actually a color changing umbrella by Squid London. So that blue link up there will take you right to the umbrella and where you can buy it, which is the Mattress Factory shop website, and it's a nice plug because it's something really cool to look at and you're like, oh, I want to buy that. So it's nice to showcase something like this for a campaign.
Yeah, so in conclusion, from our research that we've gathered about the different subgroups that live in not only Northside but are visiting the cafe and the shop on the regular already, and from what we've kind of gathered from social media presence and things like that, the Mattress Factory cafe and shop need to reposition themselves as the separate entity, as they're kind of like leaning towards there's independent of the Mattress Factory. With the effective execution of this rebranding, they're going to be able to reap the benefits of being that community space, being that place where people want to go, where people think of it as like an actual standalone restaurant, because a lot of people don't think about how like the cafes and museums are places they could just go. It's a place where it's free to go, it has its own separate entrance. It's not constricting you by the price of admission or anything like that. So it's a lot more accessible to people who can possibly not afford the price of admission on a daily basis. So by being independent entities, they're able to establish their own branding, their own logos, and kind of make themselves to be a purveyor in people's minds and to be the forefront of the consumer consideration set. Thank you for listening to our presentation, and I would like to open up the floor for any questions that the audience might have at this time.